Hey everybody, it's John, Texas Pride Realty Group. Welcome this afternoon to the live stream of stuff coming to you at our new time, 1 o'clock Central on this lovely Thursday afternoon. And I don't have to spend time fixing Facebook. We're going to get into that why in a minute. But we're going to jump right into welcoming you all once again if you're watching me on Twitch or YouTube. And giving a quick plug again to our friends at Restream for allowing me to be able to do this. I do not pay them, they don't pay me. I just like shouting them out when I can. Restream's free. There is a pro version. You can stream to multiple platforms at one time, which is why I'm able to do what I'm doing on multiple platforms right now, except for Facebook. Briefly on why I can't on Facebook. I'm in Facebook jail, at least for streaming and ads, for a joke comment that I made that I cannot repeat because Facebook is dumb about it. So basically, you're not allowed to joke about anything anymore that's remotely close to something that you would get canceled for. So just don't say anything at all on Facebook. It's better that way. It was not a human being that actually saw it. The Facebook AI caught it. So it's on a list of words that they just deem you just can't type them. Sorry, words matter. Even when they're joke words and non-offensive, mind you. This was offensive to no one, put it that way. So yeah, here we are. I can't stream on Facebook for a month. You can talk to me on Facebook. All of my posts and whatnot are still good. But here we are, doing my live stream. Twitch and YouTube don't care what I say, as long as I'm not using music and violating copyrights. So here we are today. We're going to talk about North Texas real estate market, give you all an update on what's going on here. The market's still hot. The only differences are the mortgage interest rates are rising because of the Fed rates rising due to inflation. They're trying to control inflation. Other things rising right now are home prices are still increasing and rent prices are increasing. So we're going to take a look real quick at a forecast because I know it's what you all are wanting to know. You don't care too much about past data. You want to know what's going to happen. So we're going to give you a forecast, and this is straight out of an economist from the National Association of Realtors. Therefore, take his word for what it's worth. He's employed by someone who associates, the people buying and selling your homes. Me. Give me 1 second so I can share said statement with you, because I want you to see it exactly verbatim, so I'm not paraphrasing what he said. And it'll just take me a second to share the screen, because sharing the screen requires me clicking multiple things. To where you can see it. Okay. There is his statement. That is from the 12th, 2 days ago, this week. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. No, that's as big as mine. This is from Mr. Lawrence Young. He is the chief economist of NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors. That is our association group for everyone who's a realtor here in the United States. Due to inflation, he's talking about what's possibly going to happen with the market coming up. And I'll just read it to you. Otherwise, you're going to have dead air reading it to yourself. So inflation continues to kick higher with an 8.5% consumer price rise in March. He's referring to the consumer price index, which is an index that more or less indicates inflation. One of many indicators, mind you. Aggressive inflation will force the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates multiple rounds this year and actively pursue quantitative tightening. What that means is they are tightening the supply of money. You will hear the term printing money quite often by the Fed. That they're not actually literally printing money, just to increase supply of money. Although we do print money, that is totally different things. Although the terminology used is printing money when they're just bringing rates down, flooding the market with money. Well, that's called quantitative easing, and you have heard that quite often over the years. There is the opposite effect, quantitative tightening, which means you're drawing back the supply of money in circulation. That drives up interest rates. That slows down people's ability to borrow, banks' ability to borrow, people, corporations, whoever is borrowing money. That slows down their spending. Slowing down the spending, in turn, slows down inflation, because it also affects the supply and demand of goods and products. So there's your quick economics lesson from your MBA. Happy April to you. That inflation is not caused by the president, no matter what president it is. Just so you know. So this is why the mortgage rates are recently have shot up, which is true. Mortgage rates generally have an inverse effect. They track the rise in interest rates. It is an inverse relationship to bonds. The bond market goes one way, the mortgage rates go the other way. So he's saying higher mortgage rates will inevitably pull home sales down in the coming months and slow home price appreciation. Doesn't mean the home price appreciation of your home sale is going to stop. It is just going to slow it back down to something more normal. And normal, I'll use quotes, is about 3 to 5% usually year over year, not the 21% we saw last year. Just, as a constant. That's why real estate is a good investment. You get an actual return year over year. You're generally not going to lose money on a real estate investment, unless you're selling low. Same thing with the stock market. If you buy high and sell low, you've lost money. General opposite effect. So hold on to your real estate. If you bought it high, don't go back and sell it low later. But your appreciation is probably going to be about 5%, as he says here, by the end of the year. So if you bought a house this year, even possibly overpaying for that house, it could still go up 5% appreciated value. He's also projecting here a 10% reduction in home sales. That doesn't mean that this is going to stop. The effects on home sale are due to buyers exiting the market. If you have higher interest rates, which right now is already approaching over, or it has already breached 5% interest, costs people more money to borrow a mortgage. And the higher monthly payment someone has, the more or less likely they are to want to buy a home. So those people that are less likely to want to pay more are going to exit the market. That means less buyers competing, which then means it could slow down home sales. I mean, my personal opinion, and from what we have seen in this market, if we're getting 20 some offers or more per home, if you only take out half of that, you still have multiple offers on homes. So, and he's only talking about 10% here. So, at worst, you could have homes that maybe sit on the market a little bit longer than 5 days, maybe 2 weeks. So, it'll give some of you buyers some more choices. It'll give some of you people selling your house more time to think about it. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just is going to cost people more to borrow money. That will affect people's pocketbooks. What does that mean for you as a seller? It means you probably should try and think about selling now, if possible. The longer you wait, the less chance your home is going to sell quickly, the less money you're going to make on your home. Even though, home price appreciation is still going to go up some, you're reaching a peak level where it's just going to start petering out a little bit. So Mr. Young here also mentions rents rising by 4.4%. I don't know where that is because it's not Dallas. Dallas rents are way more than that. I guess that's an average overall across the country. I haven't done the numbers on rents, but rent numbers are increasingly high this summer. Of course, we're in the period where we're renewing rents, so you're going to see that 4.4% bump up as landlords ask us for more money to stay in our current homes or move. That's already happened to me. It's happened to multiple people that I've seen on my Facebook friends list. Large increases in rent per month. Tracking market price. Although at some point that's going to have to come down. People are not going to be able to afford it. He's also pointing out here hotels and motels charging 29% more. Home prices are not part of the consumer price index, which is true. But that has hurt first-time home buyers with the mortgage rates rising, as I said. We need more construction of both apartments and single-family homes. Yes, we do. We've been harping on that for years. This is as much a crisis driven by home builders lagging behind as much as it is a pandemic crisis. Of course, in turn, home builders probably would like to be able to build faster, but when you have trouble getting the supplies necessary to build a home, it's hard to do that. At the same time, they're making hand over fist on the homes that they produce because they're in short supply. And there are agents among my team and other folks that are dealing with that right now, where they're either delayed or intentionally delaying home builds, and people under contract are having to decide what to do right this moment here in Dallas area. So then it talks about us realtors paying more in gas at the pump because we drive more than most people if we're out showing homes every day of the week. Technology prices, of course, that affects everyone, not just realtors, clearly. So that's where we're at with inflation and mortgage rates. Let's talk about that mortgage rate. Give me a moment. I will pull up Freddie Mac's mortgage rate for the week. Actually, I think they're... it's as of today. Let me share the screen for you to be able to see what it says. And you can see mortgage rate averages on just about any website. If you Google mortgage rate, they all vary because they are different data sets from different companies. So a lot have already said it's been over 5% for a couple weeks. What I like to share, which I'm going to here in a sec, is FreddieMac.com. Freddie Mac is the company that purchases federal mortgage or backs federal mortgages, the FHA. Basically, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac exist to purchase and bundle mortgages, so they more or less back them. You can see here this week, as of today, April 14th, mortgage rates have averaged 5% for the first time in over a decade, which again, affects home ownership or home purchasing. Because if you keep going up and up and up on mortgage rates, you're, of course, spending more money. And you can see here, this is the past year. Let me back up here so you can see that. Generally, the 5% they're talking about is the 30-year conventional mortgage average mortgage fee interest rate is 5%. There are other products that 5% would vary based on your particular set of criteria, your FICO score, your debt, your whatever. So don't take it to mean you're going to get exactly 5% mortgage interest. If you do a 15-year loan, it's obviously lower. And now they have on here, which they are giving out more of, which is the adjustable rate mortgage. Our old friend from 2007 and 2008. Please do not, for the sake of saving money, do not get an adjustable rate mortgage. Just don't do it. The theory behind adjustable rate mortgages is obviously it is a lower interest rate. It's attractive, but you don't have a set mortgage rate. That 3.69 will change over the year. I believe at 1 year, and don't quote me on this, I'd have to look it up exactly. After 1 year, your mortgage rate can adjust. That could go in the wrong direction, obviously. If we're at 5% and we're going up, your rate's going to go up too later. This product is what they gave to people before the Great Recession because it was cheap. Theory being, if you had a lower credit score than you could get in a conventional loan, you could get into that product. And in theory, after several years, your credit's going to get better. Therefore, you could refinance into a conventional product like the 30-year or 15-year. Well, what happened, as we all know, the economy went sour. We had a recession. The interest rates went crazy, and everyone foreclosed instead. They weren't able to refinance into those stable mortgages. And you can watch lovely movies about all of that if you didn't actually live through it, and I'm sure most of you did. The Big Short being one of those that has a lot to do with the mortgage rate industry and how they're all bundled together as debt. But back to now, this is the rate over the last year. The blue is 30-year. You can see how much it has spiked just within the last 2 months. This is actually 1 month. It was 3.76 back on March 3rd, which wasn't too bad, and we're already at 5 today, the week ending Thursday. So this rate is actually going to change after today. Next week it's probably going to be even higher. I don't see it stopping. We were told originally we weren't going to get to 5% probably until the end of 2022, and here we are in the first quarter or second quarter. So I would expect the rate to actually go up even higher. Depends on what the Fed is going to do with its rates. They can't go too aggressive with increasing rates because that can bring us into a recession very quickly. if everyone stopped spending. And this is the thing you hear about: the consumer price index, the mortgage, all this is all tied into spending. We are a consumer driven economy in the United States. Our economy is dependent on us spending our money, whatever it may be on. We stop spending money, we go south. So they can't go too high, otherwise we end up in a recession and it just spirals out of control. You can see here, although, and this is back to 1970, this is when Fannie or Freddie Mac started tracking this index. Over time, our interest rates, and we're in this period right here, we're still quite low comparatively. And I'm going to show you, let's look at, we'll back it up to, let's look at the 3-year first, because 3 years will show us pandemic time. All right, so we have a pandemic, essentially, at least here in Texas, March of 2020. And already at that point, it already dropped, already coming down before the pandemic. Because you'll see here back in 3 years ago, when everything was going great, the economy was super, certain person was, kind of screwing with our economy a little bit, but still everything was cool. Was it 4.2 even then? So 3 years, the 4.2 to 5 in 3-year span is not that large of a jump. The jump clearly is over the last month. It makes it look worse than it is. We're still cheap as far as lending is concerned. The only problem is that home prices are higher than 3 years ago, substantially higher. So in the grand scheme of things, the rate itself is not that high. It's the cost of borrowing something that's appreciated 30 some percent over the last 3 years, let's say. And I can show you that appreciation and market value on the chart as well from our MLS very quickly. So if you can go back 5 years, the last time it almost gotten to 5% in 2018. So we were pretty much there November 2018, where we're at now. But there were more homes on the market and cheaper homes. Go back 10 years. Yeah, you don't see the 5% anywhere. You get 4.5s back in 2013-ish. And here's the all-time back to 1970. Some of you watching this may have been purchasing homes back that far, or even in the 1980s, and remember what interest rates were like back then. You can see here, last time it was really at 5 was there's one there somewhere. So yeah, February of 2011 is the last time it was officially 5%. That's where you're seeing now the first time in a decade we're at 5% headlines today. So, but see how much it's been before, even as high as back during the S&L crisis and pushing over 18%. Like, who was able to afford a house in the 80s? Boggles my mind that anyone could. Of course, homes were a lot cheaper, but you were spending way more on interest than you were on the house. So that is where we are at. Those of you who are selling, keep this in mind, as I said, because you have less buyers coming in. That means less offers for you, which means you might not be maximizing your ability to get as much as you can for your home. So think about selling it now or this summer. I'm sure a lot of you have been holding off on doing that, trying to time something. You just can't time real estate market. It's like timing the stock market. Like, if you were that great at it, kudos to you. But let's be honest, none of us are. Otherwise, we'd be multi-millionaires. And once you're at that point, you can just play with your money like our richest Americans do, and hope for the best. I mean, they aren't really even timing anything themselves. They're just super rich. We're lucky. We aren't all so lucky. So back to selling your home. Of course, once you sell your home, has been the question I get is, then where do I go? Well, you have multiple options of where to go. And actually, right now, this is helping you a little bit with less buyers in the market. So there will be more opportunity for you to buy something when you sell your house. There are also programs available that allow you to purchase your home and before you sell your current home. So you can ask me about that if that interests you. They are products through several companies that do that. There are also products right now that are out there making cash offers on your behalf. And then on the back end, you are getting the mortgage through that same bank. But what's happening is you are becoming a cash offer versus a financed offer, even though you're actually financing your mortgage later. And it can be more attractive to sellers for you to get in there. A lot of people don't want to deal with the contingency of waiting for you to either have an appraisal come in too low or not qualify for the mortgage that you allegedly qualify for. They would rather see a cash offer and not have to deal with contingencies of anything, and it makes it more attractive. Bottom line. And another option, just I thought of course, is if you are a seller and you cannot find a home right away or don't have one lined up, you could always do a lease back and ask the buyer to then basically become your landlord for 1 or 2 months, and you stay in your home until end of your lease is up. So that option exists as well. And there is another option which I don't tout as much as I used to, but we do have companies like Divvy who will allow you to purchase a home or pick a home, and they buy it themselves as a cash deal and then rent it back to you for up to 3 years. That is an option. It is a more expensive option, although they've come down a little bit, they claim, on their pricing. Because what happens is you have to then purchase the home back from them at the end of your term or walk away. That purchase price on your end is, of course, going to be higher than what they paid for it because they want to make money on the deal. They already build in the appreciation in your agreement. So you can buy back that house anytime from that company, but you've got in your contract X amount of dollars. Also, in your rent price, built in is money set aside to like an escrow that you can then use to purchase the home. So you're building equity back in that you can use. It's not going to the landlord, it's your money. So it's a little bit different. It's a strange product, but people have used it. And they've actually gone up on their maximum price on what they will purchase in many of the markets. Because obviously they've realized the market has gone up, so they need to allow more stuff. So that's where we're at. That is all I wanted to talk about today, unless someone else had any questions. I didn't see anything in the chat. You have questions later, you can leave them in the YouTube chat. You can also contact me on Facebook if you know me personally. If you don't, go to coopersellshomes.com. All of my social media is linked on there. Also, you can contact me via email and phone on there. If you have any questions about real estate, if you have any questions about buying or selling a home right now, or just in general. So check that out. Please like me, follow me. If you're watching me on Twitch or YouTube right now, please follow and like the channels. It helps me out. I'm not monetized right now on either one of those, but eventually I could be. And then maybe give back money to somebody if we make ad revenue. But we're not there yet, so please do follow, like, subscribe. And we're going to stick with 1 o'clock on Thursdays going forward because 5 p.m. was too late. Let's put it that way. People are driving home. If you're watching me now, it's because you're bored. And I know I have a captive audience when that happens. It's so cool. All right. I will see you all next Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time, Twitch and YouTube. Again, it's John with Texas Pride Realty Group. You all have a wonderful